Hey everyone, Progenitor here. Today I'm going to be making a step-by-step kind of tutorial, if you will. A visual tutorial of orbiting. We're going to try and orbit a Thargoid as best as we can. And I'm going to point out pretty much every step I'm going to make things as clear as possible, since orbiting a Thargoid can be a fairly tricky thing to do, especially if you're just starting out. Now, our test subject is going to be a basilisk, just because I find them to be the most annoying to keep a stable orbit around. We are using the AX Challenger at my disposal, and let's get this show on the road. I did not need that scan, but you can definitely go with it if you really need to see the hearts. Now, you have two options when you're fighting pretty much anything up to a Medusa, which is you can just directly try and shoot the heart. Keep in mind, however, you will have to take care of two swarms if you do. So, let's get this show on the road. As you can see, the Thargoid would immediately try to equalize its orbit with you. And once it does, you will be taking direct hits to the face, which is, well, ill-advised to say the least. Let's take care of the swarm. I will be using remember to take care of the swarm as best you can. Now, and because the ship is way slower than what you would usually expect from an AX ship, then there we go. Get a bit distance from it. Let's take care of the swarm, and we'll get down to the orbit, as I find the best time to practice an active orbit is exactly when the Thargoid has its shields up, which is right now. There goes the second swarm. You can use this opportunity to just boost away, assuming that would work. The Thargoid is now turning around to reload. And as you can see, we are gaining some nice distance away from it. We have a new swarm to take care of because of that first heart we took out. It's best to take care of it as fast and as efficient as you can. Induce a bit of roll, so the swarm doesn't aim as well. And there comes the Thargoid. We are taking shots, however that is okay. And as you can see, the Thargoid will immediately try to equalize the orbit with you, so if you do a bit of magic of your own, as in try to anticipate how it's moving, like right now, you can always induce just a bit of roll and a bit of side thrust to make it slightly, ever slightly, just overshoot you. Just like that. Especially because this is a basilisk, he will always be trying to go as fast as he can to catch up with you. It's a very angry Thargoid. By doing that, he will pretty much almost always overshoot you if you, well, annoy it enough. And as you can see, it starts to equalize with us. We introduce a bit of roll and make it overshoot again. Now it shields it down, so we can go for the second heart. It's reloading. If this happens, don't be too alarmed. Keep your cool. You will need it. If you're getting slightly a bit of range, if you have a TV beam, you can always use that. Don't forget to pop the heat sink to keep your heat low. The second heart is exerted. Remember to keep calm. Heart is down. Thargoid is angry.
Target shields
Let's say we
online.
did our job right. We have caustics incoming. They're not that bad. Get some distance while it's getting its bearings right, and after we shook it a bit. If you have TV beams, you can also just snipe the missiles and pretty much shorten your time of running away from them. Keep in mind the basilisk is very fast, and it will keep up with you. Will catch up on you with time. Here's the second swarm. Thargoid is again fairly away from us. We took some damage there, so remember to always check, especially on a Shieldless run, remember to check your module reinforcements, as well as your canopy. On a Shieldless builds, module reinforcements is essentially what will save your canopy from being pretty much instantly popped. Take care of the second swarm, or third. We're to keep that roll up, so you take as little damage as possible if you are already in range. Thargoid is again taking some damage there, but that is completely okay. Again, if you don't have TV beams, you can simply... What you can do is simply pop silent running quickly, or just launch a heatsink if you are running with a fat stack jewels. Mega Jew build. And in a slow ship. However, usually with medium or larges, this is not the biggest issue, so... There we go, swarm is down. I do have repair limpets, but I'm not going to use those right now. I have one. It should be enough. Thargoid is closing in. We can start to use our thermal vent beams to pretty much just initiate an early orbit and initiate a bit of left roll, forward thrusters, have it overshoot us. Basilisks are very angry, as they are. You don't need to really worry about them not coming to you. As you can see, that little roll we did with the forward thrust just completely made it overshoot. Now it's going to be going directly at us at full speed. We can do the same thing. Boost it back. It's reloading. His shields are down. Remember not to get too close to it. You don't want to have it already moving forward to you when you are orbiting. See? Go ahead. Again. A little side orbit. Turn it around. Forward thrust. Let's tighten it up. A bit up. Remember, if you're going too fast, your ship's thrusters will not be strong enough to correct your orbit. And you will end up having it decay. Now, if something like this happens, notice the Thargoid is getting a bit too close. You can even face away. Use your forward thruster to just change the orbit away. And as you can see, the Thargoid is very confused to what the hell is going on and why it cannot exactly hit us. Now let's try and tighten our orbit a bit and get the third heart out. Without a TV beam, you want to have this process happen as fast as you can, simply because you will not have dangerous. Remember, if you do that,
Heatsink deployed. Temperature critical.
Thargoid moved away a bit. Don't panic. It will come back to you. Lightning. That is okay. We made it overshoot us. Simply like that. Thargoid is a bit stunned from that situation. And we are also a bit stunned from that lightning. Less than ideal, but that's what happens when it gets a bit too close. Notice we're still moving away from it, even though we are slowing down. That's because Thargoids have a very high top speed, but it takes them a while to speed up. So if you can... There we we go, another swarm. Can use that opportunity while it's moving forward. Initiate some roll.
Under attack.
Use that opportunity to just... And the Thargoid equalize with us. Remember, it is a basilisk. Basilisks are very notorious for keeping speed. No, especially because we have an active swarm away. We want to get away from this void as fast as we possibly can. Silent running.
Thermal signature restored.
Again, you pop a heatsink in this situation if you can. Get away from it for as far as you can and take care of the swarm, as it will be doing the most damage to you, your shields, and your module should it decide to suicide. Which, against bigger Thargoids, is essentially a loss. Let's do a quick reload. Just find my... We have the Clops coming up against us again, as well as the swarm. You can also use your thrusters to... There we go. Thargoid is overshooting. This is a good opportunity to turn around once you see that it's facing you, but you are drifting away. You can also gain some distance on the swarm.
Detected.
And we get a random mission objective. I have no idea what that is about. And there goes the swarm. Again, don't forget to turn off your silent running. You don't necessarily have to take down the swarm to a 0. If you can turn it down to a nice slow level, you should be okay. Again, shields are down, we're in range. Pop the heatsink. Watch the heat. Mark down. Remember to boost away from it as fast as you can once the heart is dead. Especially if it's a basilisk. So it has those few seconds of it just not doing anything at all during those few crucial moments where it's recuperating from its heart loss. We can reload another flak, use this opportunity to check our modules. If you're flying a faster ship, should not be a problem. As you can see, our reinforcement package took some damage. We can always repair those pretty quick. The out-of-field maintenance unit repairs module reinforcement packages much faster with much higher efficiency than regular modules. So if you can keep those alive up until your modules are constantly malfunctioning, it might be a better idea to do that. As opposed to just repairing the modules itself, as you do lose the uptime on the module. Target is coming close. This would be the time to pop heatsink. Or silently running if you're in a slower ship. Let it overshoot. And you can silently run and boost away.
Silent running.
Or just boost away if you're in a slower ship. As you can see, we're gaining enough distance from it that it's pretty much not a problem for us for the foreseeable few seconds that we need to synthesize our heat sinks or whatever you need to do. Swarm is down. And this would be a good opportunity to actually... Now let's do this without any heat sinks, assuming we have enough time. The last heart we're going to do without, and I'm just going to show you how to do this whole fiasco. At 3 at something, it will start shooting you, so if you pop silent running, it will completely miss you. You let it overshoot you. As soon as you notice you're gaining distance from it, in reverse, you just boost away. Silent running off. And you're getting nice fat distance away from it again without actually taking any damage. You notice it takes it a while to actually speed back up with us, and by that time shields will drop. Again, this is much harder against a basilisk than any other thing. If this were a Medusa or anything else, we could just
Target shields
comfortably,
offline.
constantly boost away from it with little issues. Now let's do this approach again and prepare to get the hearts. No heat, no thermal beams. Since it's going to overshoot us, we can, I bet, dissipate it, thrust a bit down.
Heat sink deployed.
Notice that it's still overshooting us. Now it's going to start turning back.
Attack.
Don't forget to pop the heatsink like I did there. Heart is down, we can go for the kill.
Heat sink deployed.
However, I doubt we will actually manage to kill it. Shoot this back up. That is okay. We can do the same process again.
Heat sink deployed.
Notice we did not lose much hull there. On these passes where usually you would end up losing most of the hull. We can do this again. No thermal vent, no heat sinks. Assuming you're running shieldless. And you swarm. We are in range. Silent running.
Silent running.
Some damage from the swarm. Thargoid is
Temperature critical.
moving away from us. We can disengage silent running. We'll let it slide a bit away. Now we can take care of the swarm again. Also, for aiming the swarm, you want to try and aim in between the reticle and where the swarm is heading, as it will change direction, and between those few seconds where it does change direction, it has to deal with inertia just like everything else. So it'll slow down at those critical points where it's actually turning, and you can use those shots to anticipate where it's going. And as you notice, we kind of took it down pretty fast. And there we go, flew right into it. Again, not be using any heat sinks. We let it overshoot us, make it feel like it's going to joust with you again. There we go.
Thermal signature restored.
Again, if it's a slower ship with shields, you can still use the same thing with the heatsink, or just take the shots, and you will gain enough distance with minimal damage. Let's slow down a bit. It should pop up in the sensors right back in. There we go. There we go. You can also use the inertia like that, without any heat sinks, even in a slower ship, to make it turn instead of just going in a straight line. You can do this pretty much consistently once you see that it's starting to gain up speed. You can force a half orbit and it will try to go in a straight line. That will make it slow down before it can go in a straight line again after you. And you can gain some significant distance without even getting close to it. It's getting close to us again, and this will be the last thing this Basilisk sees, sadly for him. Notice, if you notice it getting equalizing with you, you can always just roll forward thrust and down and get away from it. I hope this helped a bit. If anyone's having any trouble with orbiting, or already kind of nailed it down and wants to look for some refinements, this is Sajuk here, signing off.